Would you like to quit your job? Well, we understand exactly where you're coming from because we said goodbye to corporate America as well. In this video, we are going to show you how we took the step-by-step actions to make sure that we could replace our income within this process of leaving our jobs. My name is Carmen.
And I'm Darius. And regardless of your motivation for why you wanted to quit your job, the end result is still going to be the same as to how you go about making sure that you position yourself financially so that you can take these next steps.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I think the meat and potatoes of what we really want to share with you is just the concept of figuring out efficiencies with your dollar. And so the biggest thing that we had to look at was, first and foremost, how much does it cost us to live? On a monthly basis, 6-month basis, annual basis, obviously you just do the math to figure out what that was. But we had to figure out, okay, are we going to leave with 6 months in savings? Are we going to leave with a year, 2 years in savings? What does that look like? And you have to answer that question for yourself because your gauge, your temperature check is going to be different for everyone else. Ours was just under a year as far as what we had for savings. So we had to say, okay, let's figure out what that figure is. And then now we have to create some sort of asset or have a business working in the background for us that is generating that amount of revenue. And so it really came to understanding like, okay, does it make sense for us to leave corporate America right now? Or do we need to hurry up and make this side hustle as profitable as possible? Or does it make sense for us to start investing in things that's going to bring cash flow to us so that we can walk away and have some sort of sigh of relief?
Right. Because here's the thing, when it comes to quitting your job, you have to have some type of side hustle in place to replace your existing income. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't recommend to anybody just quitting their job off a whim because they think something's going to produce money for them. It has to already be producing income for you. The only difference is when you take your time that you were spending at this job and put your time someplace else, it'll allow you to make more of an income. So never think that you're going to build up enough money in your savings account where you can quit your job and be good. The idea is you need to establish cash flow, and that's where the passive income comes in, because you have to have some type of side hustle already working for you, generating the passive income.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you said that. And I want to take a moment and just talk about that one subject really quickly, because we've seen it too often where people just quit their job because they have money in savings and then they don't have any income coming in, and then they're struggling to figure out where is that income going to come from.
Or an idea for how they plan on spending their time moving forward to generate income.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sharing this with you because a lot of times when we are fed up with our jobs, it doesn't matter what happens, we are just ready to roll out. And sometimes we lack the knowledge and the planning to understand what could happen 6 to 7 months from now if we don't have that plan in place. So sometimes it takes a moment for us to just pump our brakes and create a plan where there's cash flow coming in. We've created a business. Something's happened in the background where we can walk away stress-free, and we're not up like maniacs now that we're living on this nest egg, so to speak, and seeing it being depleted every single month and we don't have anything to replace it. So it's okay to take your time. It's okay to be patient. And I understand that that's going to be really hard for some people who are just fed up with being fed up, because that's where we were. But you'll thank yourself so much more, because a transition will be so much more stress-free than if you were to just put yourself into a bad situation. And that's why a lot of people end up going back to their jobs, because they put such a bad taste in their mouth because they weren't prepared. And now they have this thought that, oh, it's never going to work for me and it's never going to happen. And then they don't try to take ownership of their lifestyle anymore.
Right. So the first thing you want to do is categorize your income into buckets of expenses and savings. And what you'll be working towards is making sure that the side hustle that you have, or the money that you're kind of funneling into your investment account to generate your passive income, like your savings as an example. Let's say you put 20% of your income in savings. What you need to do is generate enough income to replace the 80%. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing with passive income, the nice thing about it is you earn a percentage off of the principal amount. So as long as that principal is there intact and you don't tap into it, there's a really good possibility that you'll continue earning that same amount of income as long as you're making money from that principal amount. So allow our savings account to be the mechanism that it generates the principal for our investment, and have that investment, the interest earned, take care of the other 80% that we spend on an annual basis.
Yeah. So if you want to continue to learn about investments and ways to multiply your money, definitely click on the link below. We would love for you to join the Wealth Nation, whether you join our community or become our clients. We are always focused on helping our family create financial independence. Now, here's something that I am going to share with you all, and I want to preface that this is an oversimplification of a formula for you to conceptualize with making your money work for you. Okay. Do I need to say that again?
No, they can hit rewind.
They can hit rewind. So disclaimer, right? And the reason why I'm sharing this again is because I just want you guys to get the concept, because this was shared to Darius and I when we were beginning in our investor days. And it just, for me at least, gave me such clarity on how to maximize my dollar that we were then able to apply that and really make our money work for us in this transition. Okay, so let's put $100,000 on the screen. And let's say, for the traditional consumer, what do? We consume. That means we spend money. So we may spend $100,000 on one house. Okay, one house, $100,000. What is that doing for us financially? Nothing.
We have a house.
You have a house, yes. But what I mean is now you've just created a liability for yourself. And what do I mean by liability is because that one house costing $100,000 is a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket. Every single month you have to pay for the mortgage, and then you have to pay for all the maintenance, and then you have to furnish the house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this has become a liability and not an asset. Everyone's going to talk about equity, but follow the concept. However, investors are going to look at $100,000
and buy
differently.
5 houses.
They're not going to buy one house and be a consumer. They're going to be a producer. So they're going to take $100,000, might buy 5 houses, might buy 10 houses, right? Because if you take $10,000 times 10, that could be 10 down payments on a house. Following me? If we take $100,000, divide it by 10 houses, that could be $10,000 down payment on 10 different houses that have now become assets to me because I'm renting these out. Someone else is paying for the mortgage. I'm not having to physically pay for the mortgage anymore. And the number should work out enough where it's also creating cash flow for you, where you're able to charge above the value essentially of the mortgage. So now we have a consumer and we have a producer. So when you're thinking about transitioning from corporate America, you have to move from the consumer mindset to the producer mindset. How are you going to leverage every dollar that you have to make money? And that's why I wanted to share that equation with you of just taking $100,000 and looking at it differently than the next person. Because before we were looking at $100,000 as consumers as, oh, we're going to buy a house. Whereas now,
or $100,000, I'm going to quit my job because I have that nice nest egg.
Exactly that, right? So now it's about putting a different set of glasses on, understanding how money works, how to make your money work for you, so that what you're ended up doing is not trading time for money, which is what you're trying to leave in the first place.
Exactly. So quitting your job in favor of passive income simply means that you're going to stop trading your time for money and have your money start making money.
Amen to that. And again, the equation that I was just sharing with you is a house. $100,000 can be a car. It can be whatever it is. But get the formula and apply that to whatever you're into, right? Because you can flip $10,000 10 different ways. Right? You can flip $20,000 however many ways. It doesn't have to be $100,000. You can start on whatever scale makes sense for you, but apply that same concept. And that's what's really going to start to change your mind frame as far as this passive income game, as opposed to the consumer and liabilities. We need to get out of that because that's not going to allow us to move forward. We have to be producers and we have to figure out how to create cash flow. And the only way for us to create cash flow is for us to look at money differently.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing that we should all focus on is doing what fulfills us, what helps us mentally. Because a lot of times we go to jobs and we're super stressed out just from being there, when the stress does not do anything good for us, for our health. So we have to really start taking in consideration the stuff that we allow ourselves to be surrounded by. Make sure that it's something positive so that we can give something back good to the world. Because we see so much on the news or on TV or wherever we're looking, we see a lot of negative things. But if we continue to consume positive things, the output from us would also be positive.
I love it. And then allow the compounding to continue to happen. And when you put more good out there, you get way more back in return.
Right. So you being happy is good for the planet.
I love it. Reduce the negativity footprint.
There you go. One person at a time.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. So again, we want to encourage everyone. If you think that you have a calling to do more and to be more and to have more, we want to encourage you to scratch that itch,
right?
Because you deserve it. And life is too short, and there's only one person, which is you. And you need to be able to take whatever gifts you've been blessed with and share them with the world. And if anything, we're just here to help you share it with the world, but make sure you have a financial plan along the way so you can continue sharing that gift with the world. So again, it's going to take patience. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take creativity, because remember that example that I gave of $100,000. I didn't say it has to be your $100,000 either.
Interesting.
So nuggets. What are you going to take from this video? How are you going to apply this information? Because when you start creating cash flow, we have to understand how to not only leverage our money, but also leverage our time. And a lot of times working so hard for $100,000 isn't necessarily worth our time when we know that we can go ask for it from an investor and make a deal happen. And now everybody's paid. And we didn't have to trade our time for money. Right. So just things to think about.
And the nice thing about it is the fact that money doesn't have value is so easy to get it. Money doesn't have value, so that means it's easy to get. You can get it in the form of credit cards. You can get it in the form of any type of debt. Money is really easy to get because it has no value. The value that money has is what you put on it when you start paying interest on it. Yeah. That's the value that you're adding to the people around you. So what we have to start doing is we have to start not only thinking this way, we also have to start applying this into our everyday lives, because even if you don't want to quit your job, the fact that you have passive income is going to be very important to you and to the people around you, because by us managing our money better, it's better for the economy. It's better for everybody around you.
I'm glad that you said that, because you don't have to want to quit your job, right? You may love what you do, but the whole point of passive income is to ensure that you have extra funds coming in so that you're solidifying your financial freedom. Because at some point you're not going to want to work. So what are you going to do in the meantime, between then and now, to make sure that you have the funds to walk away whenever it makes sense for you to do so? So let's do a quick recap, right? If you are thinking about leaving your job, what I want you to do right now is I want you to understand what your expenses are, your realistic expenses, right? How much it costs you every single month to live. Multiply that times 6, multiply that times 12, so we understand 6 months and 12 months how much money we need to be holding on to.
Right. And the best advice I can give you is that we all have a routine. Figure out what your routine is and add savings to your routine, and then plan for the amount of expenses that you have outside of your savings.
Yeah. And when I say be realistic with these numbers is don't take out the stuff that you like doing, right? Because we need sanity. So if you're trying to leave your job and you're like, nope, I'll never eat out again, or nope, I'll never go to do any sort of entertainment or see anybody again, you are going to need those times to have a little bit of a break from all of the wealth building and planning that you're doing. So be realistic with yourself. Give yourself some leeway. The next thing is, once you understand those numbers, you have to figure out what are you going to do, what are you going to produce to cover those expenses. Is it a side? Is it a business that you need to start yesterday and start figuring out how that's going to make money? Or is that investments that you're going to start putting money in that's going to give you a certain return?
It has to be investments if you want that to be passive.
Yes.
It absolutely has to be investments. It has to be your money making money. And what you have to do is figure out what side hustle can you create, or what expertise can you develop so that you can have your money working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. And with those investments, to preface, you have to understand the ins and outs of the investments. Don't just invest in something because somebody told you that it was a good deal or it was lucrative. You have to be invested in the investment, no pun intended. And I don't mean from a monetary standpoint. You have to understand exactly how it works so that you can cash flow and it doesn't backfire on you. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing is just managing that to ensure that you continue to have consistent cash flow coming in, so that when it makes sense for you to send that resignation letter in, you already have the money and the systems working so that you can walk away stress-free, as opposed to walking away without a plan and not understanding where your next paycheck is going to come from.
Right. Now, as it relates to passive income, if you want to understand a little more about how to generate passive income, then check out our next video where we talk about passive income.
And don't forget to own your own lifestyle.
Or someone else will.